teams here, this strikes me as the kind of caliber that you'll see in a quarterfinal game.
You'll be glad to know that my glasses have demisted now, Des.
Oh, magically demisted themselves, have they?
Well, I took them off for 5 minutes and cooled down. So I'm going to be able to clearly see all this action. I can clearly hear the players going absolutely mad at the minute behind us. I don't know which team that is, but there is a lot of energy and a lot of passion in this room today, and they are ready to fight for these final spots, not just for qualifying. For example, Astralis already there, already present in the playoffs. Now they're fighting for seeding. Now they're fighting for those better positions and those quote-unquote easier games. Let me tell you, there's going to be absolutely no easy games in these playoffs.
I'll tell you what, I just had to check what was going on. Bart's got me on social media.
Of course he has.
From the main XSET account. Oh, Desachu finally without makeup.
he's done you there.
Little git.
He's done you there. Very well played.
Absolutely phenomenal. Bans flying on through, mind you, and BDS unsurprisingly banning away the Flores here. So you might be hearing me say that and think, well, why is that unsurprising? Alem's went on record a good while ago saying Flores is probably the best operator in the game right now. Those 4 Rotero drones, super oppressive. So BDS taking that away just suggests to me that at least on their defensive side, they want to be sat behind shields. They want to make sure they can hold down critical locations for as long as they can and try and slow Astralis down. Astralis is quite a spicy ban as well. Direct target ban in towards Shaiko in getting rid of the Iana. That said, most of this event, he has played Finca more than he has the Iana, but still a very critical operator that he loves bringing.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure about that play. Shaiko is one of those players, and this is sometimes what happens like when you get these inter-regional matchups, and I'm not saying that Astralis won't have been aware of it, but we've had this happen to Shaiko before, and he's one of those players that's just sort of like, oh, you banned Iana? Okay, I'll get 20 frags for Finca. It just doesn't really impact him that much. So you've taken that ban, and you know, Iana's a great operator to take off the table. You've got the Gemini decoys, of course, so you've got a lot more droning capacity when you bring Iana, so it's playing directly into reducing the information game that they would be able to use. But to be fair, that's not really a huge part of what Shaiko uses Iana for anyway, because on Cafe, for example, how many times have we seen Shaiko at the beginning of a round, say on a kitchen attack, he'll be on mid-floor within 25 seconds. He ain't droning himself. He ain't using those Gemini decoys to see what's going on. He's got drones ahead of him and he's just running in there with Iana. So I'm not sure how impactful that will be.
Well, time will tell. He is, of course, on the Finca, as I said. A number of players this competition, not just Shaiko, have been running the Finca ahead of the Iana, just because that team stim is just so strong as well. The LMG, fantastic. You know, the ARX is a wonderful gun, but not quite as many bullets as you often find in an LMG. You can see 100 there in the mag for Shaiko, ready and raring to go. For BDS, a big focus so far on this Roma hunting setup. I'm not going to say they're doing the Roma hunting yet, because they're not, but they've got a Lion and a DKB in their composition. There's only one reason why you bring them, and that is to shut down these Romas as aggressively as you can. So given we're 60 seconds in, I do want to see them start looking inside the building here and clearing out a couple of players.
We had one of those Dockerby calls within the first 30-35 seconds.
Does he know about Coat?
Already gone off. I'm not sure Shaiko... Yes, there you go. He's just paying a little bit more attention towards it. Like Shaiko there, just leaving himself out in a little bit of no man's land. There was an opportunity for Shuttle, but he was just unable to step out and take it. Shaiko, he's going to drop himself back to the bar. He's just conscious. I'm just a little bit concerned for BDS here. They seem to have got themselves into a position where they're now very worried about the flanks, but Rafal, he's going to get one. He's going to get 2. I'm not sure what Forrest was thinking there, but Alems, he manages to get Shuttle and clear out court check, and that leaves Astralis very quickly.
Oh my!
1v5 as Rafal opens this up with a plum, getting himself 3 kills. Iconic doing what he can. He's going to go into the freezer. He might just get put on ice here, Des. There it comes. Shaiko shuts him down, and BDS go big in round 1.
That was just clinical by BDS as well. I mean, fair play, Astralis, not showing they're afraid, jumping out of windows, 3 of them potentially, and all of them into the waiting, loving arms of Rafal. 3 kills for him in the round, an easy shutdown, and all at the back of Shaiko as well, moving in towards that bar area and cutting off any potential rotation back down to site. Very good by BDS, making good use of the line and the DKB as well. Not quite as aggressively as I thought they might, but it was enough to get a very convincing round. And interestingly, Astralis, after 1 round loss, called a tactical timeout, Tim.
I mean,
that's interesting.
I think that's what you call shock and awe. I think that's what you call shock and awe from BDS.
I was going to comment on this in the pre-game. You know, all this shouting and screaming, you can't hear yourself think. And I remember...
Sorry.
What? Shut up, Tim. I remember speaking to Canadian on DarkZero and saying, I've noticed I think it was at SI, he was a lot calmer than he's known for being historically. And I said to him, why are you being calmer? And he said to me, well, some of the guys get a little bit kind of pent up and excited when I'm going off a little bit, so we're trying to keep us kind of at that mid-level. And the really nice saying that came out of that, Meepy said the same from Rogue as well. You don't want your guys too low, you don't want them too high, you want them in the middle. So between rounds, you can just reset comfortably. And I think in that round, you saw with the aggression coming out of Astralis, maybe just a little bit too excited, and BDS had them in their back pocket from start to finish.
We're going to be heading into round 2, and Astralis, they've had their tactical timeout, like you say, maybe just trying to level off the emotions there in the team, just try and manage those energy levels and just make sure that they are around the right sort of place. They're going to be moving on this time to mining and fireplace. That's going to be the site, so expect to see BDS this time going into the top floor. I was a little bit concerned for BDS on that last round. As I said, they went in very quickly to bottom floor, ignored the mid floor and the top floor, and I thought, they just sat watching flanks now. They worried about these players coming back down onto them, but the plan was obviously there. Rafal was just like, yeah, okay, I'll take one, I'll take two. That's the top floor cleared out. Done. Yeah. On you go.
And even had a great read onto the last player that was being slightly more passive in mining, waiting for him to sidestep into the museum corridor and got a freebie. Just no real challenge. So if you're Astralis now, you've had that timeout, you've had your first round of fun. Let's write it off and go into a bit of a reset in this round. Now, we're looking straight here to push in towards the mining side. 4 members of BDS all stashing up. Wouldn't be surprised to see one on towards Snowdoor, maybe coming in a bit later on, or working in towards Fireplace. And there we go, Alem's on the south side. So potentially looking here for a straight side execute, but they do want some control of Red Corridor, which Alem's can provide, opening up the corridor. Renshiro's already found himself going down, but of course, instantly juiced back up by Rafal. By Shaco, sorry.
Not ideal for BDS as a start here. Astralis will be happier with that. That's a sure shuttle. He's going to be inside of that train for the time being, bouncing one to the other. Drone comes in, is going to spot him out, but it's not really going to provide BDS with too much information. You could pretty much always guess that there's going to be somebody playing in and around that area. Shaco looking for a tight angle through the window there, unable to find anything. Going to go in, completely unaware of J90, and this is almost the opposite of the last round that we saw. J90 just looking to try and get some utility up there to the window. Rafal's just going to back him up. He's not going to take any damage from that. The Razor Bloom will have been deployed, and he's just going to wait on the bottom of those red stairs.
Just not quite the drone work going the right way there. They were looking inside train to try and find where Shuttle was and what the play was going to be. Just not quite paying respect to what could have been going on downstairs, because they knew that they had the castle playing on the upstairs. Forest has been set up there for the vast majority of the round, but didn't respect a full 3-floor hold coming out from Astralis. We saw them doing this yesterday, and it worked wonders. Renshiro has somehow jumped his way in towards the Razor Bloom and been taken down. Not often that you see that. And BDS just feel like they're stalling out a little bit here, Tim.
They just haven't been able to deal with J90 for starters. I don't, maybe the answer would have been pushing somebody underneath through kitchen, through small bakery, something like that, just to put a little bit of pressure on him at the bottom of red stairs and move him along. Galems is going to find some shots there through onto DP Fire, I think it was. J90 was taking damage at the same time. Iconic up on the top floor could be a problem here. Don't forget, they're attacking the mid floor, and Iconic hasn't really been dealt with as of yet, so could be a problem on the flank.
I was worried about Alems here being tagged potentially from the red corridor, but has now slowly worked his way forwards. Must be respectful of the man downstairs, by the way. J90 is still down there and likely looking to do some damage, but BDS are slowly running out of time here. They've sat outside this window for 2.5 minutes and really struggled to make any kind of impression onto the members of Astralis. Nothing has really changed. Sees the head, will find the one, in we go. 2 kills coming out of nowhere for BDS, and 15 seconds to play with. Now's the time to make your play, but Iconic makes them a 2K with a shotgun. Brede left alive, all by himself, and this looks to be the closeout for the NA side here. Brede going to try and do what he can, but with 3 seconds on the clock, nothing to be said for that one. Astralis calming things down in round 2, find themselves the win.
Impactless kill at the end there for Brede onto Iconic. It was Iconic's position that I called out, and I said BDS hadn't dealt with it, and I didn't think they were aware of him, and there you go, double shotgun kill at the end there, just to level things off for Astralis. That tactical timeout working wonders, just putting a little bit of the brakes on what could have been a runaway freight train of BDS after round 1. For me, they just took far too long to deal with J90, and eventually, Des, what did they do? They went in through the window he was watching and got the kill anyway.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to stand on that window for 2 minutes if you're going to end up going in through there anyway. You know what I mean? You might as well just go in through it or go somewhere else and try to clear him out.
I love how you saw the clock skip then. It was the same firefight onto J90 on the lower red stairs. It went from like 2 minutes on the clock to 18 seconds on the clock.
It was a great job by J90.
And very little change.
For me, it was a bit of a poor job from BDS as well because they didn't do anything different to try and move him out of there. They just sort of sat holding the angle for 40 seconds, like 2 minutes 40. You can't do it.
Really interesting how for Astralis, they're not opting to go up to the top floor or return back downstairs. They're going again for the next offsite in the rotation, going across to Reading and Fireplace. Normally the second preference for most teams, or in some cases third. Bar and Cocktail being completely avoided so far, which I'm sure makes your heart very happy, Tim.
It does, it does. The top floor, it's 50-50 at best for defenders. It's tough to hold on to. We know this. Attackers have had so many opportunities over the years to be able to polish that attack, and they are generally very, very good at it, so it's really not one that the defenders have any sort of advantage on, whereas we do see Kitchen Reading particularly, the defenders will often do pretty well out of it. What you seeing, Des?
Forest on the pulse has got the hatch open and is waiting. C4 in hand, he saw them coming up. Here it comes as well. No, I think it got shot out of midair. Unfortunate, but if that had been a big 2K on the rappel over Tim, BDS would be kicking themselves.
Certainly would be. You just feel like this game is going to continue like this with absolute fireworks in every single round. J90 has got himself hidden in piano at the minute. Obviously, we'll be using that Vigil cloaking device to keep himself off the drones as much as he can. And I tell you what, again, if BDS don't find him like they didn't find Iconic in the last round, J90 could be a big problem for them here. Shaiko, he's looking to push in. He's got to get himself inside a cigar, but the problem is he's got J90 on his right-hand side, and I don't think he knows. There's a challenge over from Pixel, and that's smart from Astralis because it's just meaning that his attention is divided one side to the other. But I think they might be aware of J90 on the Vigil now, and if they are, he's got himself stuck.
They should know. I mean, they'll have seen.
No.
Oh, what is
too
that?
Easy, too easy.
I mean, they had drones going past. They should have got the warning sign. You know, the lines that we're all used to seeing around our screen when a Vigil's in close proximity to a drone. They do get the finish off, but they've lost Shaiko in the process. That is not a man you want to be losing to something blind and a little bit of misdroning.
Going to have Forest working underneath with the pulse, and again I've got to ask the question, how aware are BDS? They've only got 3 drones left as Astralis are starving them of information so far here on Cafe, and the Iana ban, I did ask questions about it, it's only going to play into that further because of course it is taking those drones, those extra droning capacity off the board as well. So BDS, how much do you know particularly about Forest underneath? Because if they go for a plant, he's going to be there to deny it, but they've got themselves in, they've got control of the top floor, so now they can start working on the verticality and try and get themselves downstairs to have any sort of impact in this round.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got about that 60-second mark. It's a good point to be making this sort of play. The Sledge, of course, ringing away here and trying to get the vertical angles opened up. Shuttle downstairs. Dancing with death a little bit. Pulls out the C4, but sadly placed in just the wrong position. With the numbers at 4 and 4, though, I'm starting to get a bit nervous of BDS because, yes, you've got the vertical control. You're still trying to squeeze these members of Astralis in towards the site and to try and make sure they can't have a massive impact. My only top concern is that as that clock runs down, I always say it, the timer becomes the 6th man, and that basically gives a good advantage over to Astralis. Finding Shuttle, though, a wonderful way of pulling things back.
There we go. Playday is in a position to get that diffuser down. Forest too far away to be able to pick this up. He was playing over in Train. Playday is going to stick it. Only just DP Fire gets in. That must have been by an absolute fraction of a second. Flashbang goes in just to try and disrupt DP Fire. Lems manages to find Iconic, and this is all going in the direction of BDS right now. There's another kill. Rafal gets it. Forest, he gets his first onto Lems, but he's on the pulse. He's not got the best gun in the game. Ranchiro, he's going to shut him down with a kill onto Forest, and that is going to be the round for BDS.
I'd love to know how DP Fire managed to slip his way there and to get Playday. Sure, they managed to get the diffuser down. That's the most important part, but they had the KB call coming out. They knew where these members were, but still didn't quite have the call on, oh, someone's above us, someone's about to vault over, someone's about to run into sight. But it was very quick, to be fair, and quite hard to catch down onto. Either way, they get the job done. BDS up 2-1 on the attacker Cafe. Tim, a wonderful start so far.
A great start for the French side. They really are playing very nicely today. Like I say, as the tournament goes on, they just feel like they're looking a little bit more well-oiled each time. It's a little bit smoother. It's a little bit better interplay as a team, and they're getting getting back towards, the important thing here is they're getting back towards what I think is the best that we've seen out of BDS. They're not there, don't get me wrong. We've seen much better performances in the last 12, 18 months, but they are showing us glimmers of that. And this is what I'm hoping. As the tournament goes on, we see more and more of it, and they're going to become a real contender in the playoffs. Right now, 2-1 over Astralis, and BDS feeling pretty good on the attack of Cafe.
Interesting little setup here coming out for Astralis, by the way, in terms of where they've put the bulletproof cam that's on the wall by the minibar. Thank you very much, Sana, knowing exactly what I'm talking about here. Normally in Europe, where you'll see that cam put is actually inside a cocktail itself, just to the right-hand side of the bomb. You can still see all the way through bar. This camera does give you a better angle of viewing through, but it's also easier to remove. You burn through the laser gate on the cigar shop doorway, chuck a nade in at that wall itself, and then you can get rid of it with a Zofia or a Gon 6, you name it. Whereas the one that's dug all the way back in cocktail, you can protect it with things like ADSs. It's generally harder to clear it out. So just small changes and differences here between the regions that was quite interesting to observe.
BDS up onto the rooftop pretty quickly. They're going to get the hatches open. They are attacking the top floor this time around, so it's going to be much the same as we saw from them last time. We'll have more than likely have Shaiko pushing himself into Cigar Shop, trying to challenge anything going on inside a piano. This time, there's a little bit less danger for him. He doesn't have J9O lurking by the small bar. He does have one on Pixel, so it can just be a straight challenge into that spot should he choose to take it. And DP5 is actually going to drop himself back. He's got the wall opened up so he can challenge from Washroom, and he's just choosing to take that slightly safer approach. Shaiko is in. He's not messing about, and this is something that we see from him. And if he starts finding kills, let me tell you, from a man who's watched an awful lot of Shaiko play, that's when Astralis could find themselves in danger, because he's playing aggressively today. He's getting in quickly, and he can be an absolute menace.
There's a lot of pressure coming in here into DP5 as well. I think they had a bulletproof stash just inside a white corridor. Worth noting, of course, the 3 bulletproofs on the side of Astralis in this round. Really relying a lot on the information game, but it's slowly being taken away from them by the side of BDS. So for BDS to be at 90 seconds in and just getting themselves inside a cigar shop here, I want to see what the next play is. Because a C4 coming out of Iconic is a wonderful way to get things going. Shaiko's been caught out quite early on now in 3 of these rounds, as well as been the entry death, I think, in 3 so far, Tim.
He has. He's struggling to get himself into the game, and I mean, that's just a great sort of, you know, reduction of it, isn't it? Iconic versus Shaiko. Iconic gets the opening kill onto Shaiko and gives Astralis the advantage. Astralis looking good so far for this one in round number 4. They've wasted 2 minutes and they are holding on to their angles. They've not really been dislodged too much. BDS don't really have control over Piano, for example. They're not getting themselves established fantastically quickly. They've still got a player inside a washroom that is a problem. They're looking to deal with that now. Playday just putting the X-Kairos pellets on there, going to take a bit of damage. Going to burn a couple to get rid of that laser gate as well, and that's going to give BDS an opportunity to start pushing forward.
Renshira's in, they know exactly where he is now is the problem as well. One more down, but a flurry of kills. BDS just pulling it out of seemingly nowhere in the space of 2 seconds. 4 men hit the deck. Breeday's also down, but a plant can come in here from Rafal. He's on 7-1. What a performance he's having. Renshira with the close. BDS. That round to me looked like it was slowly falling apart, but 4 massive kills means it goes their way.
BDS woke up and decided to play some Siege today, looking good so far in the first 4 rounds. Let's not forget it is Cafe though. The attackers don't mind a bit of Cafe, so we'll see how BDS managed to do in the second half as well. Astralis, I'm sure, are going to have the capability to get themselves into this, but I'm really glad, Des, to see Astralis really put under some pressure here, because, and you know, I'm not trying to get on top, I'm not trying to criticise Astralis. What I'm saying here is I feel like Astralis are one of the favourites for this tournament.
They have cakewalked a number of teams
absolutely.
so far.
And I feel like they are definitely one of the favourites for this tournament. But as I've said over the last couple of days, you don't win tournaments without being challenged, without having to win difficult matches. And that's why now I want to see Astralis really put under some pressure. I want to see them really challenged, and I want to see just how good they really are, because I think they could be one of the great teams here in Charlotte. So BDS really, really putting them to the wall at the minute, 3-1.
Well, with how things are shaping up, if BDS carry on at this pace, then Astralis and BDS will be the 2 teams going through from Group D. Walls watching on, and every single round that BDS win, just that small wince of pain, because they know that if BDS win this game or get really anything from it, Wolves are unable to make it out as a result. They will play next against BDS, as I mentioned, if you do want to see that French showdown here on the B stream. Here we go then. Downstairs, Astralis haven't been here since round 1, after which they took that tactical timeout. Did find the round win in round 2, as a result of J9O doing a lot of damage on the red stairs, but outside of that, yet to find any joy in further rounds. For BDS, I'm curious as to whether or not they want to go for a full map clear, because last time around they didn't bother. They just went pretty much direct into sight and did a wonderful job of it. Shaiko, if you remember, charged again around that bar and restaurant area. Rafal once again yielding the Duck AB, giving the calls through, dealing with this Astralis aggressive roam game that over the last couple of days, we have seen several 3-floor holes coming out of them, Tim.
We have, absolutely. And the thing is, on Cafe, a 3-4 hole just wastes an awful lot of time, effectively. It's, you know, if you do play into it, if you do play into it, if you do want to go, you know, BDS showed that you don't necessarily need to play into it. They went direct to site last time. But if you do choose to, it can burn so much time trying to move across those top 3 floors. But I would say BDS are probably one of the best teams that I've seen of doing that clearance. They're so quick and confident in moving. Look at this, Elems is already in the mid-floor. They've got Rafal on the top floor. Like, they really don't mess about when it comes to getting in. They're at the 1:30 mark. There's an opportunity for Renshiro to get in on the sledge and start opening up. BDS are bang on time at the minute.
And for those who are wondering, you know, why put a breach charge on the wall? Well, you're seeing the result right in front of your face. It opens up massive holes on the other side. Did have those and exothermics, I believe, change how their destruction works. On the other side of the explosion, there is a lot more damage, and far in back, there is less, because we've all seen unfortunate exothermic team kills as someone tries to run in through a breach. Now you do get much more of the floor opened up on the other side. And the IQ, normally brought along and reserved only for a Valkyrie pick here, is enabling Elems to feed this bit of information across to the other side. Now they've got to try and remove and get rid of this Electro Claw. That's
exactly what Breeder is going to look to do with the X-Kairos pellets just placed next to it. The IQ pinging it out. There you go. The explosion takes down the Electro Claw, and he is able to open the hatch that now gives BDS that platform to push through the freezer. But they are running down on time, and there is still 5 lives left on the side of Astralis. They're going to be aware that this is likely to be a freezer push, so they can now start training their guns in that direction. Shaiko could be an important part of this attack. They really need him here as a catalyst. There's a spark in that powder keg to just get things going, get a kill or two, and just open things up. J9O, fantastic position at the minute in VIP. He's going to hold down the push into freezer. He's using those smoke canisters just to slow things down. He's got one left, but there goes Shaiko. I said they needed him to get that signal, to get that opening kill. Can he get himself a second? But meanwhile, inside the site, DP Fire Forest, they managed to get 2. Breeder's in though. He's getting the diffuser down. Is the cover going to be there? Is it going to be sufficient? Elems, he's there. He pops up. He gets one. Can he find any more? No, he's just going to hold himself for the time being. He knows there's another likely to push in from bar. Breeder finds one after the plant, and BDS are looking good, but DB Fire, he comes around the rear and manages to find one at white.
It's all about trying to bring back this 2 versus 2 with the pros plant. It's always so disadvantageous to the defenders. Breeder finding one more. Now J90's all alone. Can't do anything about it. BDS finding round 5, and Tim, they're up 4-1 against a team that have walked their way through this competition so far.
They're looking good, and the thing is, look at BDS, right? They're cheering, they're shouting, they're laughing, they're smiling, and that's not something that we've seen an awful lot of from BDS. You know, not just this LAN tournament, but the last few big tournaments that we've had, it's been a struggle for them. And if they can start playing like that, then, you know, maybe we start seeing a little bit better out of them. Elems is having a good day today as well. Elems, we picked up on that he struggled so far this tournament. Some important kills from him, doing some great work. He was on the cover there. He basically enabled Breeder to get that plant down. Without Elems there, without him getting that kill on double door, the plant probably doesn't stick.
You know what I'll give? As much as Shaiko isn't really hitting the numbers that we've seen him achieve before, I said before, every now and then you'll get him just drop a 15+ kill game, and it's like, good luck stopping that from happening. I think even though you're not seeing him get the kills, the confidence that he's showing in the play style, he's the one who's kind of getting into really tough to play positions. Normally you reserve that for someone like Rafal, who's having to flex between what the team needs, but I'd say for Shaiko in this game, he's getting into very dangerous positions that are normally under quite a lot of threat. Think for an example there, trying to push around the freezer wall with someone still inside VIP, or think back to the previous rounds where he's charged his way into cigar shop quickly, or where he's got himself inside a bar and restaurant while there's someone still inside coach check. You know, he's putting himself in risky positions and definitely putting his life on the line for it. More often than not, he is paying for it with his life, but it's making Astralis uncomfortable and letting the other members of the team, like Elems, like Rafal, shine off the back of that.
Astralis won't be too worried at this point. Let me say that. Any NA fans watching who are thinking, oh God, Astralis are 4-1 down, they're not going to be too worried at this point in time. They're going to be happy enough if they can get this next round 4-2 into the second half, get themselves on attack. They're going to be confident that they can get Iconic, that they can get J9O firing and get themselves back into this. So fear not. There is definitely a timeline where Astralis comes back from this. But as I said, somebody who's watched a lot of BDS, I'm looking at this side and I'm thinking, this is the BDS that look like they are not going to be beaten.
I can't help be a little bit cynical about what this might look like in a best of 3 as well, because again, we've seen them play so well previously, but then come to a playoff stage and things just don't look so hot anymore. It's about carrying this kind of result through the rest of the day and also into the quarters on Friday, assuming, of course, they do win this game. You can't yet count Astralis out again. We've seen what these boys have done. They are terrifying when they get on a comeback spree, and it's very hard to shut them down. The second half of this game, when they're on attack, could be a very different story to what we've seen in the first.
Oh, absolutely. Like I say, I'm expecting particularly iconic J9O to really light up when they get onto the second half of this. But here we go. They're going to light up before that. DP Fire manages to get one onto Renshiro. Good entry there. As you said, both teams have struggled with entry so far, but it's been Astralis that have been able to take the opportunity today to improve on Cafe. Shaiko going to dump in an aid to White Stairs. He's trying to get something going, but he's just not sure where the challenge is going to come from or which side to push. He's going to have to go direct to Lumber more than likely, and if he does, he's going to run headlong into J9O, who stood there with the shotgun just waiting for that challenge, and it ain't going to be pretty. Out goes the Toxic Babe canister just to slow things down.
But at least that's orchestrating away what the game plan is. He's trying to get himself a way of vaulting in through here, and we clocked it back at the start of stage 1. The bullets generally are now better at opening up different vaultable holes or getting vertical like play to work your way through as well. Couldn't quite get away with it, mind you. There's still a couple of kills coming back either way. Alem's not looking close enough. DP Fire lurking close. He's dropped his way from the top floor all the way down to the ground floor, and doing some work despite being on about 10 HP.
Oh, he's done a lot of work this round, not just that one kill. He got the opener onto Renshiro. He's really set Astralis up for a potential win here. Shaiko just running into sight. There was little else he could do. He was all alone. His pal was down at that point, and it was going to be a tough round for him to close out. Astralis 2-4 on the half. Like I said, I don't think they'll be too worried about that on the defense of Cafe. They'll be confident that they can come in here and take rounds on attack. But this is what we need to see from Astralis. If you're going to be a championship winning side, you've got to be able to come back from the deficit at the half, and you've got to be confident in doing so. So the next few rounds for me are going to be really fascinating if they can break BDS down. BDS, for me, I'm not sure how good Cafe defences will be. They've struggled on the roam. It's a big map. It's like Bank, I said, you know, you've got to be able to get out there. You've got to be able to use that map to your advantage. And it's no surprise to see them taking top floor to begin with, because much like the top floor of Bank, it's a site that you don't really need to rely on that widespread roam game. As we push further on and they go to Reading, they go especially to Kitchen, it could change up a little bit, and that's where the opportunities, I fear, are going to come for Astralis.
There was that old phrase I used about, well, not old phrase, it's a new one that kind of came up with this competition. For BDS, they're not what I called an exotic team. They're not the team that will do things a little bit out there.
They're not that team.
You're not that team. You're not that guy, Tim. You're not that guy.
They're not that team.
They're not that
team, Des.
They aren't. They are a team, like I remember saying before back on Clubhouse, if you see a Lems pick a Valkyrie and that's the only roamer they've got, that's an aggressive lineup for BDS. They are the kind of team that will dig in deep and just play on site and have full confidence they can win in that kind of position. I'd love to see them get out on the roamers. They're kind of doing now, and just get a little bit busy. Just keep Astralis guessing, because in the current state of the game, with attacker repit being present where you can pick the most optimal lineup to go for executes on site, you have to disrupt the enemy team either around the perimeter of the site itself or out in the map before they can even get anywhere near the site in the first place. And I think they're going for that here with their own version of it. They got Rafale on the Clash. They do run this on some maps. You see it sometimes played on Oregon Basement by BDS. And here it's all about wasting a bit of time and just putting up a little bit of a roadblock in front of Astralis and saying something, here's something you don't see all that often in NA. Let's see how you deal with this one.
I'd love what we're seeing. I love that BDS are doing that they're saying, right, let's just do something a little bit different. Let's not be predictable. Let's not be that team. Alem's heading back up the white stairs. Going to miss the drone, and that's going to leave plenty for this side of Astralis to go on. They've got 8 drones racing ahead of Shuttle and others at the minute as they move in. The book underneath is a great play. Sometimes he's going to open that up. It's going to make it difficult for Alem's to play on white stairs. Goes for a little challenge with the carbine there. Not going to find any connection, but it's at least going to know that Astralis don't have anything for free. But what they're going to try and do potentially, what I like to see a book do, is get themselves into reading room and just open up the entire ceiling, because it makes it really difficult for anybody to play inside a cocktail then.
That's what I thought they were going for as well, and I was kind of curious about Iconic on the Nook, what he was going to do with it, but he was kind of playing behind the buck at all times, just kind of supporting him in that role. A less ideal gun for that sort of purpose. Really feel like a Finker would have been good here as well. We keep on speaking about just how strong that operator is. You get the nades, you get a better gun, you have the team-wide buff as well. It's a less, air quotes, selfish operator, but here we'll see if Iconic can now utilize it later into the round to come crouching up red stairs, for example. Just try and surprise BDS in some way.
It's going to have to be an east-sided take take realistically. Forest is over there with Diffuser in hand. They've got 3 underneath and no control over Piano. So it's all going to be focused on Cocktail side, which is a little bit unusual. And this is going to be an explosive finish to this round. Forest, he manages to get the opener onto Playday. He's going to find himself face to face with the Clash. 45 seconds left to go, and we haven't seen Iconic have much of an impact yet. What a peek from Renshiro, using that Alder to devastating effect to take Forest off the rappel. But more importantly, Des, that puts the Diffuser on the ground. But here goes Iconic. Is he going to be able to have an impact here? He's coming up behind Rafal. This could be a big play unless Rafal spots him out. The backside is showing at the minute. There is an opportunity for Iconic. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Iconic, and he manages to take down the Clash from White Stairs, but he has to go out of the window. Only 18 seconds, Des.
A bit of a kicker there on timing because Shaiko potentially in a spot to support the Clash there. Doesn't quite deliver the goods. One on the window. J90 with a wonderful shot onto Shaiko, leaving us 3 versus 2. BDS got to hold on for 5 seconds here. Iconic, and they go for the plant though. DP5 is getting it down. Can they pull this one back? They found the 2 Iconics. That's in a 1v1, but the clock is on the side of BDS. They're moving up to a potential victory here, Tim. It's 5-2.
BDS having absolutely none of that. That was a really good round to watch. It's not the sort of cookie cutter round that we see from Cafe attacks sometimes. Very different from Astralis. Like to see that variation of an attack there, getting up on the East rappel, using that. It just didn't quite work out for them at the end. I don't know if there was maybe the opportunity, and I don't want to be too critical, but Iconic, I feel like it opened up for him. He got the kill onto Rafal. At that point, he dips back down and he goes out of the window. And I know that he's trying to support the rest of his team, but he's on the knock, and I just feel like there's an opportunity there for him to maybe have a bit of a surprise. There's 2 routes that he can go. He can go to Piano, or he can head into Cocktail. And BDS don't know which he's going to do. So he's got a real opportunity there to just creep down with the knock, use the ability, get in there quietly, maybe get another couple of kills and start getting something going. But it's like he hits the accelerator and then boom, takes his foot off the gas and just gets back out of the window. So it was a great try from Astralis. It just didn't quite work out. BDS were ready for it, and you know, a smart finish at the end. 1v1. I'm going to keep myself out of the way here because the Diffuser's down.
That's it. Just a little bit mistimed, I think, by Iconic there. But given the tournament he's had, you can't fault him too much for the odd mistake here and there.
I'll clarify. I'm not fit to polish his mouse. You know, I'm not fit to clean his mouse. That's the reality. I'm not coming in here criticising Iconic.
Is that the esports expression now? I'm not fit to polish his mouse.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, that's the reality. I'm not coming in here to criticise Iconic. He's far better than I am. But I just, you know, was there an opportunity there? That's my question.
People always say, like, oh, you're not a pro player. How can you comment on it? I'm like, yeah, I can't fly a helicopter, but I can tell you when someone's done a bad job and it's crashed into the ground, right? Come on.
I've got eyes enough to ask the question, did he create a bit of a wedge for himself? Did he create a bit of space that he could have driven on from?
And I'm also not saying Iconic has crashed a helicopter there. It was just an example.
He probably hasn't.
No, he definitely hasn't. He's the kind of guy who would be doing like 360s in it, mate. He'd have a field day in a helicopter, I'm sure. Anyway, wrong game to be talking about flying helicopters. Let's see how this side plays out. Looking downstairs, BDS. I always have a bit of a bugbear about Chanka on their side, Tim. We've seen them run it quite a bit on Bank, and then yesterday when they played on Bank, I think it was against G2, no, not against G2. Who was it against? It wasn't Wolves. I forget the team. They were playing against someone, a team in Siege, of course, and they switched back over to playing on the Smoke. So they've tried the Chanka, they've tried the Smoke, and now here they're back to playing on the Chanka again. And you and I, we talk about the Chanka quite a lot. We don't see it as all that effective. Forrest was playing it yesterday. In the first round he was playing Chanka, he didn't use a single Shumaka. He was just using it to open up rotations around the site, in which case many would ask, why don't you just play a Smoke? Does the same, but has much better weapons, arguably. You've got the SMG, of course, you then also got the shotgun for opening rotations. Yes, the LMG does that, but it's not the best as a fragging weapon, and also he's a very, very slow operator, whereas Smoke being a 2-2 brings a little bit more to the board. So we'll see what Renshiro's use case is for this here. He's already used a couple of those Shumakas, I believe, out towards Bakery, but outside of that, am I relying on it to be your kind of plant denial? Not really.
J90 goes down, Shaco's going to find that entry, and he's starting to get himself rolling a little bit now. Rafal with a Nitro kill as well. It's falling apart for Astralis here in round 8, 2 minutes in, and not too much progress. They've got some of the ceiling opened up, but that is about the best that they can claim at the minute. They haven't really been able to disrupt any of BDS on the defense. They've not really moved them around. They've not really opened up any angles by which they can start to push. There goes in the nade. A nice attempt, but Shaco, he's going to keep himself away from it. He's going to be on the Malusi. Very nice gun in the hands hands of Shaiko as well. Could be an absolute demon. Ranchiro on the Tachanka out in Bakery. This is a play that we've seen BDS use quite a lot. The Tachanka out in Bakery and just firing back across the freezer, make it difficult to get in there. Shaiko. What did I say about Shaiko and that gun?
Oh my!
There we go. There's the third. I just had a feeling, Des. Ilem's deciding that maybe they're too far ahead. He's going to take down Rafal, but it's Shaiko with a 4K on the round. Absolutely no surprise. If you put him on Maluse, he's going to do some damage.
Nice little pre-fire as well coming in as the enemy player around in the corner there. A very clinical round for BDS, and they look so much better today, Tim. Again, this is the fear I always have about them at big events like these, is day one can look a bit shaky. Day two, best team in the world. Day three, not so hot. We're still seeing that cycle at the moment, and really, we've got to see them show up in quarters. I don't want to be the Debbie Downers or the Derry Downer here.
I believe.
You might believe for now, Tim. Here's the nose for you. Go on, put it on.
I'm a BDS believer.
We'll see about that, Tim. We'll see about that, Tim. We will see.
It's the last tournament that I'm giving them.
We say this every tournament.
I do it every tournament. I'm like, come on, BDS, you're the big hope for EU. And I said coming into this one, I'm sure people are like, oh, you're an EU shill. I'm not. SI, I very openly said I wanted NA to win it. Coming into this one, I feel like EU are one of the weaker regions, and so I want them to win it. I want them to have that resurgence and just to really mix things up, keep things different, keep everybody on their toes. And BDS, I just feel like if they can keep this momentum, if they can keep themselves on that upward slope, it's the copium kicking in.
I love how Europe just always we always keep ourselves guessing, right? Is everyone coming in was like, oh, heroic. Absolutely smashed everyone. They're going to go far. They'll be like in the final. Brilliant team. Been absolutely put in the bin, basically, so far this competition. G2.
Say what you mean, Des.
G2 washed. Won't do well. Currently flying in Group C. BDS at a poor stage. No one had any idea they were going to get anywhere near the top four. Shut up, Tim. No one had any idea.
Sure one person said something about BDS.
No. No one had any idea they'd get near the top four, yet here they are putting on performances that show they deserve to be there. It's very upside down compared to expectations, but I won't complain if G2 and BDS are kind of the flag bearers of our region for now, Tim.
Absolutely not. Right, Astralis, come on. I'm going to get behind you for a couple of rounds. Let's see you get yourselves...
It could be one round at this point, Tim.
It could be, but I don't think it's going to be. Let's see yourselves get back into this one. They're going to be attacking onto Reading Room. We just need to see a little bit of that fire that we've seen over the last couple of days. You've got to remember as well, I think it's very important probably to point this out. Astralis are already through to the playoffs. They don't necessarily need to come in here and do absolutely everything. They don't need to show everything because they've got some very important games coming up over the next couple of days. Cafe might be one of the maps that they want to go and play. So I'm not saying they hide in strats. I'm not saying that BDS aren't winning this and playing well. They are. But Astralis at the same time, they're going to have one eye on that preparation for the playoffs as well.
Absolutely. I think for both teams that's the case, and both have still got a game to play today. Again, reminding you that Wall's coming up against BDS just after this. A real French showdown that I can't wait to see. Shaiko versus Mowgli. It's a right teaser of a matchup, that one.
A tasty morsel.
A tasty morsel. Absolutely, Tim. Alem's under pressure now. Oh, inside of storage. The wall getting opened up by the Hibana. He's had to drop away here, down to about 20 HP. Lucky to still have his life.
Shaiko just going to be holding a tight angle there. And again, as I said, with this Maluse, he's very, very dangerous. He does get droned out. I think the drone did just skip round enough to see him.
He's
there
in trouble.
To know where he'd come from. He's on the back of the bus, Des. He's in trouble. He's in danger. And he's going to get himself out of there. He's dipping away. Iconic going to take down Rafal. That's going to be the opener. Shaiko's going out the window. There's nothing to find. There's nothing there for him to get. The risk comes to nothing. He's going to get himself back into the bottom of White Stairs. Near sight, not the end of the world, but it has given up the top floor to Astralis. This is a round that they could definitely win.
I'm nervous about Shaiko and what he can do here coming up the back of White. You've also got Ranchiro still upstairs. How the hell has he got into Piano? The hat chop through train, I'd imagine, has done a bit of damage. Now Shuttle knows he's scared of Shaiko. The boogeyman, Slenderman Shaiko, working his way back at White. Could end up shooting them in the back a little bit here, and here he is, just lurking halfway down White, Tim. No one yet pushing down towards him, a little bit spooked out by that one, but they've got the vertical control they need. The only fear is as you get towards these last 30 seconds, that is when the flanks hurt the most. Alem's also holding off. It's like playing hide and seek, Tim, and right now BDS are looking like the champions of it. Astralis chasing shadows at this point. They're getting ready for an execute, but BDS have got all the cover they need.
Forrest is heading in. He's got diffuser in hand. There's going to be an opportunity for him to put it down. Is one of these BDS flanks going to come off? And there it is. Playday gets
Playday!
2, and that is why he's a great support player. Shaiko finishes it off, and BDS looking extremely solid with a 7-2 win. You can see what it means to them, and it's nice to see them having those moments, laughing, smiling, celebrating. BDS looking good at the start of day 3.
Absolutely flying, Tim. That's what you want to see, and I'm hoping we see more of that continue into the quarterfinals as well, because with that, BDS secure their spot in the playoffs and leave Wolves down in 3rd place. They will still play, of course, but ultimately the points are what matter, and it's Astralis and BDS going through.
That's it. That's locked in for Group D. It's going to be those 2 teams. It's now just to decide, like you say, the top spot and who gets the best seeding. So the next game will still be important, because at this point, BDS, they're going to be chasing, keeping hold of that top spot. So Wolves, they're going to have a job to do. They're going to come out here. They're playing for pride, and they're going to want to take down their French counterparts. I am absolutely certain.
You European doubters out there, this is for you. Get the copium in me. I'm ready, boys. Let's go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about this one a little bit